On Monday, the public inquiry into the death of Dawn Sturgess begins in Salisbury. The 44-year-old mother of three died at Salisbury Hospital in July 2018, a week after being admitted, having collapsed at her partner's home in the nearby town of Amesbury. What she thought was a bottle of perfume turned out to contain one of the world's deadliest man-made substances, a Novichok nerve agent developed by the Soviet Union in the 1970s. How did a British woman from Wiltshire, 2,500 kilometres from Moscow, come into contact with a Soviet-era chemical weapon during peacetime? This ordinary-looking house in Salisbury was the residence of 66-year-old Sergei Skripal, a dual Russian and British citizen who had lived in the UK since 2010. Just the day before, he and his 33-year-old daughter Yulia, who was visiting from Moscow, were found seriously ill on a bench in the city centre and were rushed to hospital. A local police officer, Detective Sergeant Nick Bailey, was one of the first to respond to the incident and was sent to Skripal's house. He too fell ill and was hospitalised. Just a couple of days later, counter-terrorism police revealed that a nerve agent had been used and that Sergei and Yulia Skripal had been targeted specifically in an attempted murder. It emerged that Mr. Skripal was a former Russian double agent who had come to the UK 8 years previously as part of a prisoner exchange. The UK government held emergency discussions, and on the 12th of March, Prime Minister Theresa May delivered this statement in the House of Commons.
It is now clear that Mr. Skripal and his daughter were poisoned with a military-grade nerve agent of a type developed by Russia. This is part of a group of nerve agents known as Novichok. The government has concluded that it is highly likely that Russia was responsible for the act against Sergei and Yulia Skripal.
Russia denied any involvement, but the UK expelled 23 Russian diplomats, with their European, American and Commonwealth allies doing likewise, after concluding that there was no plausible alternative explanation. The Skripals and Detective Sergeant Bailey did all recover and were released from hospital after just a few weeks. Life began to return to normal for the people of Salisbury, and then, in early July...
Has terror returned to Wiltshire after the attack on the Skripals? Now a British couple have been poisoned with Novichok.
Shock and confusion returned to Wiltshire as Charlie Rowley and his partner Dawn Sturgess were admitted to hospital with similar symptoms to the Skripals. The couple had fallen ill at Mr. Rowley's house in Amesbury, just 10 miles from Salisbury, which they had recently visited. The police cordons went back up as officers conducted a search for the source of the poisoning. Inside Mr. Rowley's home, police found a small perfume bottle. It was sent straight to Porton Down for tests, which confirmed it contained traces of Novichok. Mr. Rowley said he had found a sealed box of perfume, which he had then given to Miss Sturgess. She had fallen ill within 15 minutes of spraying it on her wrists, and he had also come into contact with the perfume. Charlie Rowley recovered and was released from hospital a few weeks after admission. Tragically, Dawn Sturgess died on the 8th of July. Despite an inquest opening just 11 days after her death, it has taken more than 6 years for an independent inquiry to begin. In September 2018, 2 Russian nationals who entered the UK under the aliases Alexander Petrov and Ruslan Boshirov were named as the suspects by UK counter-terrorism police. They are thought to be members of GRU, the Russian intelligence agency. Russia does not extradite its citizens, and it is unlikely that they will ever face trial in the UK. Unfortunately, for the family and friends of Dawn Sturgess, the inquiry cannot determine guilt or put anyone on trial. However, it will aim to establish the truth of what happened to Miss Sturgess, which it is hoped will provide some comfort to her loved ones.